Since 2003, the Center for Homeland Defense and Security has been the nation's Homeland Security educator. We've developed a portfolio of programs and resources for local, state, tribal, territorial, and federal officials to take advantage of critical thinking and collaboration skills across all agencies represented in our government. The master's degree program that we offer is designed for the busy Homeland Security leader. It's 18 months and is broken out into 2 classes every 10 to 12 weeks or every quarter. So you're taking 2 classes at a time every time you come to Monterey campus here at Naval Postgraduate School or in our National Capital Region campus. It's the same faculty and same curriculum, it's just offered in 2 locations. To qualify for the master's program, you need to have a GPA of a 3.0 or higher. If you don't have a 3.0 GPA, we recommend that you take the GRE or the Miller's Analogy test. That just demonstrates your ability to do the graduate level education. The application itself is found on our website at chds.us, and it has many components. Probably the most important is the way that you approach it. We are looking for those current and emerging leaders who want to think more critically and collaboratively. So as you fill out the application, we assume that you are a tactical operational superstar, that you're very good at what you do every day. This is not for tactical operational perspective. When you're looking at our application, we encourage you to think about your strategic initiatives, the things that keep you up at night, and talk about those things in writing. Many of our applicants are very good at the talking part and communicating verbally. This is a chance for you to look at your career in total and look at how you are strategically placed in your organization. So as you open the application, looking at the various components, we're looking for your resume, transcripts, and importantly, a letter from your agency to grant you the time away. That person in your agency who is your supervisor, who can talk about your strategic value to the organization, and that they might have plans for you to do bigger and better in the future, what your future contributions to the agency would be. The other 2 letters are from a public agency and a public administrator. We keep those very open because we realize that we deal with over 1,000 different public agencies around this country, and everybody has a very different makeup. So we leave it to you, the applicant, to look at and make the case for the criticality of your position to Homeland Security. After those letters are completed, and you can add additional miscellaneous if you like, but keep it to the strategic and policy making perspective rather than all the certificates from FEMA and all that. We don't need to see those. The letters, and then we have the essays. So there are 5 essays in total. They are meant to help you think about those issues in your area. Maybe you have some critical infrastructure, or maybe you have some policy issues that you really want to vet for your agency while you're in this program. Remember, you're making that case to the committee that sitting in this classroom collaborating with all these other agencies is going to bring value back to your agency. So as you think about these essays, there's a ton of guidance on the website. We really encourage you to take everything that they ask for and incorporate that into your essays. Trying to stay away from, and the most common thing is people veer back into that tactical operational perspective. We really want you to think about the strategy policy perspective. Also, you want to keep the grammar and the composition. You want to avoid making mistakes in that area as well. Recently, we had a lot of folks online, our first webinar ever, and they had a lot of questions. So we taped it and we're offering it to you. We invite you to take a look. The application is extensive. It is meant to be difficult. It is meant to challenge you. We want to know, again, how you think, not just tactically and operationally, saying I led this event, or I did this security, or I know how to do this. It's how do you think about problem solving? How do you identify problems? How do you evaluate them? How do you synthesize information? And then how do you lead? What projects, some people say, I've done this, I've done that, but what have you led at the strategy policy level? What kind of committee work do you do? What are the things that make you different? What are the issues that make you upset that you, if you were king or queen for a day, would be able to solve at the policy and strategy level? Nobody else looks at these essays. These are yours to think about and to really critically go through. There's 5 essays. Those are the big ones, 3 to 5 pages apiece. Then there are 3 letters of recommendation, the most important of which is that agency endorsement letter. Now, depending on where you're from, it matters who it is from. So if you're from DHS, the person who gives you the time away from the job is important, but it's also important to get the letter from the agency, which we get, and it says that we can consider you, that you've been cleared, they've done a background check or whatever. California Highway Patrol as well. We only, in New York Police Department, FDNY, they all provide lists. You'll know if your name needs to be on that list. If it were me and I were applying, I would ask my boss, my immediate supervisor, one who knows me well and can say that I'm strategic for the organization in these ways. That person is the person I would ask to do the letter for the agency. The additional letter from the agency head is required in only some cases. Smaller jurisdictions don't need that. It really depends on your culture. Hopefully that answered your question. A lot of people also ask me, because the other 2 letters, one's from a public safety official and one's from somebody who you've worked with on projects. We keep it very open, knowing that our base is so very diverse. We have everything from public utilities to every component of DHS, FBI, all the alphabet agencies. So we like to keep these letters open, but it's up to you again to talk about the strategic value you bring, because you're filling a seat and you have to justify what are the critical issues in your area. Do you have critical infrastructure? Are there strategic issues that you need to work out with these other people in your classroom? Those are the kinds of things that they're looking for in the essays. I would say more the former than the latter. Again, it is graduate level writing, so you're going to need to adhere and compose it in such a way that it's articulate, organized. We don't have a preferred style, so that's not the issue. But again, being able to think of an elegant mind, think of an elegant problem that you have to deal with, and delineating that in writing. A lot of you can really talk anybody into anything, right? Because that's what you do every day. But this is a chance for you to do that in writing, if that makes sense. It is 32 seats. It's divided into 11 or 12 on each side for some plenary sessions. The cohort as a whole will always be 32. As an average, we'll probably have 2 people that drop out due to family problems or whatever. So it ends up being about 30 on average. We do have a lot of applications, by the way, so I'll just run through those because I know somebody's going to ask about that. So we get about 150 to 200 applications every 6 months. That's including reapplies. And those people are divided up into, well, we have about 600 who open the application, 150, 200 who will finish it, and then 32 who will be selected. Yes, but Brian Johnson, who is working for the CLO there, does a tremendous job of informing everybody. All your component leads are very aware that there is an outside application, our official application, and that is the one that needs to be completed. The one internally, I think it just asks about self-assessment and some internal kind of background type questions. So that is used for your internal review committee, but this one that is on our website is what do you want to say? It's evaluated by DHS and NPS personnel. The difference is location. The faculty and the curriculum are the same. It's a very different experience on each coast. We frequently have those who are on the East Coast say, you know, we've been to the West Coast and we don't think it's all that. And actually the West Coast doesn't get to go to the East Coast, so they don't know the difference. But it is the same program. In fact, if you're selected for the National Capital Region cohort, you're coming to Monterey twice during those, again, 7 2-week in residence periods. You're coming here twice to meet with your advisors and to get the Monterey experience. The Outstanding Thesis is selected as the one that provides the most elegant solution to a wicked problem that they find. You'll have many chances to talk about your thesis topic, and by the way, a lot of people forget to talk about that in their self-assessment essay, which is required. So don't forget about that. But when you get here, you're going to meet so many awesome people and amazing faculty that you probably will change your topic by the time you get here. So it really just depends on the outstanding writing ability, the elegance of the argument, and whether the faculty vote on it. All the detail you need is located online. So I really can't even stress enough how important grammar and composition and the ability to do an outline for your essays is. They are very serious about each and everything they write in those guidelines, and that's what's required. On the other side of it, you have miscellaneous files. If you know people, this is what I always like to tell people, some people get senators and congressmen and big hoo-has to write for their, that, hey, they endorse you for the program. That's not as important as getting somebody who understands the strategic nature of your position, who can talk about how you lead. I would get letters to that effect if I had them. %30 of the application is weighted on your education. So if your GPA is below 3.0, which is the minimum, and many folks are, let's just face it, there's a lot of folks who went right to their career, and there were lots of social engagements while they were in college, so they weren't really paying attention, right? And many people haven't even looked at their GPA until they, think about applying to this program. So when they look at it, they're like, oh my God, this is like 2.5, 2.0. So what we advise, although it's not mandated, in order for you to be competitive, if you will take the GRE, the Miller's Analogy Test, if you've ever taken the MCAT, which is the medical school entrance exam, or the law school, the LSAT entrance exam, we'll accept those scores. And again, this is probably one of the most important points that I'm going to bring up today. This program is tremendous. It's a great opportunity. But we don't want to get people in the program who can't write at a very high level, or at least learn how to write at a high level. Okay, so if you get in and get swamped and have to leave the program, it's very difficult. We can't fill the seat, number one. But number two, we don't want people to get upset. We want you to be successful. And having said that, I also want to iterate that we will do absolutely everything possible once you get in to help you successfully finish the program. Okay, so when I say that, I mean we have logistics folks who will help you with everything from your books to your travel. We will have faculty who meet with you at all times of day and night. We have your cohort who throw you over the fence pretty much. So there's a lot of support for you in the program. But again, you have to prove in your writing, again, the criticality of your position. So if you don't meet that 3.0, please take the Miller's Analogy Test or the GRE. Talk about your experiences. And by all means, call us if you have any special circumstances. Yes. In fact, we had interesting, I was yelled at for quite a long time by the Deputy Chief of Monterey Police Department because he was sent to National Capital Region. And he just found it very expensive. He's like, well, don't you guys want to save money, whatever? It wouldn't do us any good to have him here where he's going to be listening and having to go home and being distracted. So he went to the NCR. He was very happy and thankful he did afterwards. And the same way, we sent somebody from FEMA in West Virginia to the Monterey cohort, just for the same reasons. It is, again, not about geography. It's about making those classes as relevant as possible for you and your agency. I mean, it's a very competitive program. It's a very difficult program, and people are vying for it all over the country. And they work hard to be where they are. And those who have the experience to share with the others in their cohort, many times are selected before. I mean, I can't quantify your interest, so I don't know how to say how viable it is. But generally, those with most experience get in. Ideally, and a lot of folks have to sell this to their agency again, asking their boss what problem they would like to solve is a good way to come into the program. And that happens quite frequently. Again, the self-assessment essay requires that you talk about, if you get into this program, what are you going to study? What are you going to bring of value back to your agency? Having something in mind while you're applying to the program is critical. Depends on how type A you are. So if you score well on it, I would submit it. And again, depending on the other points in your portfolio, how well you write or whatever. Basically, by taking those exams, you're demonstrating your ability to do graduate level thinking and writing. So it is used as a measure. It's not the only measure, however. Many folks with lots of experience do make up a lot of points by articulating that in writing. This degree is conferred by the Naval Postgraduate School, and it is through the National Security Affairs Department here. It is graduate level education. You are going through, you can just put another name on it, put at Harvard or any of the other Ivy League schools. So you have a curriculum and you have grades in each course. You have papers for each course. You have participation grades for each course. So the thesis is its own course, as well as a deliverable. So you do have to score, and in graduate level, if you get anything less than an A, it's not so great. So you want to get an A in every class. And each course has different measures of what percentage of participation versus the papers versus everything else. So it depends. Depends on how long you're waiting. If you're not waiting very long and your chief says, hey, you're an emerging leader in this organization, I need you to be smart as you ascend the ranks. So if the chief writes a letter, a recommendation that says, hey, this person is the next leader in this organization, he needs this now or she needs this now, then we will consider that along with the experience that you have. But if you are in a more tactical position at this point, we do recommend that you get on committees, that you seek out opportunities in your region, in your state, and even at the national level to be able to put that into your portfolio. And we've had people do that. We've had people even get their undergraduate degrees in order to apply to the program. So you don't have to have, I didn't mention this as well, so maybe 30 or 40% of our applicants have higher level degrees, anywhere from master's, double master's to PhD. But again, those are weighted, and we also take into account the experience portfolio of those people who have been working really hard and doing a great job and coming up the ranks on the experience side. I just want to re-emphasize a couple of things for all of you. First of all, the fact that you've entered this huge application is a big deal. And a lot of folks who may not even get in have told me, when I'm going around the country, they talk about their experience even just doing the application is the first time that they've really thought about their careers and where they're going. Because a lot of you, all you do every day is react. I mean, you go to work, you do a great job. This program, this application, is really meant for you to look at where you are and where you want to go, and how you look at yourself and fitting into Homeland Security, again, at that strategy policy level. If you're not the most current leader in your organization, if you articulate in your application that this is where you want to go and you want to ascend the ranks and you're going to use this education to do that, that's a compelling argument. And that's one that I would use. So, very much encourage you to keep in touch with us, engage with us, ask us any questions. We'll do everything we can to facilitate your application. And we just appreciate your interest in the program. It's covered at no cost. So again, we have a logistics team. They're awesome, and they will arrange your travel. They will, your books will be here at the school, and you get a per diem. So we cover all the costs. So the only cost to your agency is your time away from the job, and we don't have anything to do with that part. But FEMA covers all the rest. Thank you. Lack of agency support and lack of support at home. So maybe you have young kids, or maybe the boss says, you know, I thought it'd be all right, but you get a new boss and it's not okay. So a lot of times it's a very influx situation. That's why we require that letter of recommendation from the person who grants your time away. Because once you get that seat, the train has left the station. So that class is going to go forward, and we want to keep as many folks in the seat as possible. Again, we keep it very open. Every town, jurisdiction, borough, there's a lot of different setups around the country at the local, state level. So we keep it very open for you. Anybody who works in a public type of position, again, who can talk about your strategy and policy influence and your leadership and how they worked with you would be that person. Again, it's a big kabuki dance, and I don't have the inside scoop on how they grade those out, but I will tell you that if you are concerned about your writing, there's lots of things online for you to look at. There, on our website alone, you can go to the research study, the research methods course. We have a self-study course that you can take, and it kind of teaches you about how to do research, how to ask questions, and how to write. You can Google lots of different ways to write at the graduate level, so I would do that if I were you. Yes, so it does both. But basically what it does is it uses frameworks with these topics, and you can, I mentioned in the earlier comments about our curriculum is listed on the website, but they use the frameworks to discuss what's going on today. And again, what makes this different is using the different jurisdictions you all represent to talk about those things at the strategy and policy level. So whether it's, earthquake or what's going on in Afghanistan, they're bringing that to you and asking, how is that relevant to the Secret Service or to LAPD or whatever. All right, so technically it's 6 in residence periods, and then the 7th week is the graduation, or the 12th week is the graduation week. So usually you're here for 14 days and then you go home. The first week you're here for 8 days, a shorter period, and then the last week for graduation, which is just a week. So it's 12 weeks. 6 quarters. Again, that's the Naval Postgraduate's quarter schedule. So again, it's a degree granting institution. It's accredited by WASC, And it's a degree that's recognized all over the world. So it's quite an opportunity. So online you can see under the master's application, the in-residence periods are divvied up so that there are about 12 weeks, 10 to 12 weeks between sessions. So you're here for 2 weeks, you go home, you do your job, and then 10 weeks later you're back here in Monterey or in the National Capital Region. Awesome question. If you look on our website, there's some really cool books under the book list. If you go up to the website, under our CHDS Ed topic on the nav bar on the front page, you can scroll down and find our book list for each course. Now, don't get overwhelmed by all the books that are on there, okay? Because that list has been going for a while. So, and I don't promise that each of those books is going to be for every course. All right, so check those out. That's a lot of reading, but I can pretty much guarantee the Constitution will be one of those books, and the 9/11 Commission report are standard for the first course. So the other ones are likely, but I can't promise because again, this is a very dynamic curriculum, and the faculty do change the books out every once in a while. Actually, we like keeping it open. We do not have a standard form because everybody has a very different job, like I mentioned earlier. We want to learn about you and how you see yourself in the Homeland Security landscape. So that even applies to the way your bosses look at you and the people that write those recommendation letters. It's on purpose that we don't have those standards. Oh, everywhere. I classically need more and more public health. We tend to get 1 or 2 public health in every master's. We try to get as many as possible to apply. So again, it's the same as law enforcement and fire. It's one of the really important perspectives that all of you bring to bear in our classroom. No, that is very incorrect. So we have a lot of folks who are very busy folks, and my context was that there's a lot of reasons why people have family issues. We have folks that are taking care of their parents and taking care of their kids. So they decide on their own that they don't have the time to devote to this program. That is the context. Having said that, there's lots of people who have we had one woman give birth in the program. So we have lots of different dynamics going on, but it is up to the individual to decide, because it's a very difficult course, what time they can give. Because when it comes down to it, you're going to choose your family and your job over the program, and we would advocate for that. It's a very dynamic coursework. We use learning module Moodle, so there's a lot of assignments, and they're very easy to see and use. There's no it's seamless, actually. So the faculty list the readings that they have, the syllabi, the assignments, and what they expect of you. And you can see and talk to your cohort mates on that learning system. It's a learning management system. So it's very easy to use. It's nothing to be afraid of if you haven't done it before. Used to be that was kind of a big deal, but many more people know how to use it. It counts all on its own, so we'd love to have EMS. It doesn't have to fit neatly. That's the thing I'm trying to say, is that each of you has very different and unique responsibilities. We want to know what those are, so please articulate those in your application. It depends. If you like to write, you're going to spend less. If you don't like to write, you're going to spend more. I do want to mention also that there are writing coaches here as well, because not everybody's a perfect writer. So again, that support plays very heavily. We're going to make sure that we can give you every resource we can. but the average is 20 hours a week, give or take. Well, again, thank you for your interest in our program. We are available all the time to help facilitate your application, and we welcome you to participate in our programs. Thank you.